Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. Todd Falcone checking in. I have not been live for probably at least a dozen days because I was camping out at my river property on our summer family vacation, which was absolutely epic. Yeah. So anyhow, back in the office, back at it, and wanted to just have a chat with you guys this morning about a very important subject, and that is this whole idea, this concept of man. Like here's the thing, like as an entrepreneur, sometimes you just, it's being an entrepreneur can be exhausting. It can be tiring. And when we choose to act in spite of how we feel, that's a main part of my message. I want you to think about something for a second. There's a lot of days where I don't feel like it. Like for example, I released a video this morning. I think it would be really good for you to watch, especially if you're ever in that situation personally where you're like, oh, I just don't feel like it, or I'm too tired, or I just don't want to do it. I'll put it off until tomorrow. I released a video this morning. What is it? toddfalcone.com/episode 278. I'm pretty confident that most people in business, if self-employed, people, entrepreneurs, business owners, employed people, I'm sure have days where they're just like, oh, I don't want to go in today. I just don't feel like it. And for example, here I am on honestly a much needed family vacation where my wife and myself and my kids and other family members got together at our river property for, a pretty nice extended stay. In fact, I was completely unplugged. Like I couldn't send a text even if I wanted to. So, it was kind of like a forced timeout, I guess. But there was, I had specific responsibilities in my business because my business doesn't shut down because I go on a family vacation. Your business continues or should continue to go on regardless of whether you're on a vacation or taking a day off, for example. So I didn't feel like it. Okay. I didn't feel like doing the video. Christina's like, hey man, we need a video for Monday, which is the release from this morning. So in order for me to do the video, and I didn't feel like it. I'm tuned out, man. Like I'm on family vacation. I'm at my river property. I'm steelhead fishing. I'm enjoying some beach time. I'm enjoying some reading. Maybe not so much enjoying all the chopping of the firewood that I had to do, which was extensive. But I just didn't feel like it. But I was like, look, man, this is, I committed to something. Like I made a commitment to releasing a new piece of content, a new fresh piece of content every Monday. And we've done this like clockwork for years and years and years. And so I needed to produce this video. Now, the challenge is here I am in, way out in the middle of nowhere where there's nobody around. There's no cell. I mean, I couldn't surf the web. I couldn't do anything on social. There's no access to anything. I got to go like 15, 20 miles up the road in order to get any kind of service. And I'm down in this little protected private spot that we've got, and I didn't want to leave. But here's the thing, I did it anyway. So I recorded the video. If you'll see it, it's actually at my river property. It's a beautiful place. You get a nice little view of our completely private beach on this river. But it's in those moments, what I found, it's in those moments of time when you maybe don't feel like it, but then you do it anyway. Those are some of your greatest opportunities to kind of like, number one, to get ahead, right? To keep your business moving forward. But also I think it creates, and I'm no neuroscientist or anything like that, far from it, in fact, but I'm pretty confident that when you have this feeling in your head, that in your mind, that you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But then you go do it anyway. It creates something fresh inside of you. We could call this discipline. I remember Bob Proctor. There's multiple definitions of discipline, but Bob Proctor, I remember watching him on stage, and God rest his soul, he was an amazing man. He said, discipline is the act of giving yourself an order and then following through on that order. And I was like, wow, that's a really great definition of discipline. And so I don't know do you ever have those times where you're just like, I don't want to do anything today. I don't feel like it today. I'll start it tomorrow. I mean, I can't imagine you, like most people have those situations, but when you are in a position in your life where you're looking to get ahead, and you can't be continuing to tell yourself that same thing, like, oh, I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. And then not acting in reverse. It's when you act in spite of how you feel that I think, quite frankly, you're going to have some of your biggest leaps forward in your life and in your business. It's hard sometimes. It's hard to do it sometimes. It's like getting up early. Like, I don't ever want to get up early and go do yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, body's like, dude, stay in bed. But I do it anyway. So I just, I'm curious, like, how do you feel when you tell that to yourself, like, oh, I don't feel like it, and then you don't do it? You feel like crap, right? You just don't. You feel awful. I mean, it's like, but the moments in time where, regardless of what it is, whether it's going to the gym or getting after it in your business or whatever it might be, that's needs to get done. And you might be sometimes maybe it's a mental exhaustion, sometimes it's physical exhaustion, and you just push through just a little bit further, just a little bit more. I think, like, for sure, as independent entrepreneurs, most people who follow me here on Facebook and all of these platforms, quite frankly, this is being streamed on, are people that are in business. And you can't be a successful entrepreneur by lacking in self-discipline and just giving yourself an out. Like, there's a trainer that my original mentor, I'm not going to be able to even come close to phrasing it the way he did it, but like if you hired you, right, which you do, and as a self-employed person, if you hired you in business and you were acting the way that you currently are, I don't know how you're acting. Some of you guys are probably crushing it, and some of you guys might not be. I don't know. But if you were like showing up late and being lazy and coming in late, leaving early, playing video games instead of getting work done, or just, who knows, you're just not up to task, you're not doing the job that you were hired to do, if we're talking about an employed position, would you fire you or would you hire you? In fact, a question that I've taught for a long time that I think is a beautiful question to ask yourself is, would I hire me? Like, if you can honestly, with full integrity in your soul, be able to ask yourself that question, look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey man, would you hire you? I know for sure, most of the time, not every single day of my life, but most of the time, the greatest majority of the time, I could say, hell yes, I would hire me. And there are some days where for example, again, I just came back from 12 days of camping. Look, I'm a little TMI here, but 12 days without what I would call a proper shower. Now, some of you guys are like, that's gross. I had a river right in front of me that's 49 degrees, by the way. So it's definitely the definition of a cold plunge, I would say. And I have this really safe river soap, so it doesn't pollute the river. So I did that, pretty much every day. I don't even know where I went there, but now I do. So the reason I said that is, like, this was a pre-planned family vacation for us to tune out and spend family time together. And I'm also very big on this concept, this idea of wherever you are, be there. So if you're in the presence of your family for dinner or for vacation or whatever, be there. If you're working your business, be there. If you're with your spouse on date night, be there. Don't be someplace else. And look, if you look around a little bit, you'll be like, wow, you'll see people that aren't even there. They're there physically, but they're someplace else mentally. They're totally tuned out. Like, who knows where they're at. And these things are like, this is the cool. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this is like, I've never spent so much time not touching this thing other than to play tunes on airplane mode, because I couldn't get any service anyhow. And thank God I had some playlists that were cool that I had pre-downloaded before I got down there. I had no access to nothing. So it's kind of like a forced timeout, which is great. But even if it wasn't honestly, even if it wasn't a forced timeout, I would still been chilling with the family. And because that was, I don't know, I just think, again, when it comes to discipline, giving yourself an order and following through on that order is an important thing. Like, you need to have discipline in order to get ahead in anything. Okay. Weight loss, physical fitness, business, spousal relations, whatever it might be. I could go on and on. I don't need to, but I want you to just think, like, do you succumb to that feeling? Like, I just don't feel like it, or do you do it anyway? And if you're a person that does it anyway, in spite of how you feel, like, I'm pretty confident that you're a person that's getting ahead in whatever it is that you're doing. So go check out the episode. It's new. It just got released. ToddFalcone.com/episode 278. I'm back. I'm refreshed. I feel great. A little darker than I normally have been. I've been in the sun a little bit, but I better not go see my skin doctor for a couple of weeks until I'm back to being a little lighter. They might be like, dude, you're spending too much time in the sun, but whatever. It was fun. So yeah, I'd love to hear your comments on this. I mean, what do you do? Do you succumb to that feeling? And I get it. Look, I'm a human being. Sometimes I'm so freaking exhausted from whatever that I just, oh man, I have to take. Sometimes you have to physically take a break, but I think there's so many people that they just don't feel like it, but they have the energy, they've got the time, but then they just don't do it anyway. And then they're wondering, why am I not getting ahead? And I just think there's something beautiful about having that feeling of not really being up to it, but then going and doing it anyhow, that just changes things for you. And I was so grateful also, my assistant, Christina, if you go to that page, ToddFalcone.com/episode 278, she put a little link there for a free download that is, it's called my 30-day challenge is what it is. And it's a big eye opener. So it's free, no cost, no strings. It's very simple. It's a simple one-page PDF document. But what it'll do for you is, it's kind of like one of those, it's a very, very powerful self-checking exercise, just to like check in with you to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. And it's so eye-opening, you can't ignore it. It's impossible for you to ignore what's there. So anyhow, I appreciate it. It's great to be back. And have a beautiful Monday. Hope you guys, those of you in the U.S. that watch me, had a great 4th of July weekend celebrating our independence. I love independence. It's a beautiful thing, regardless of what country you might be from. Independence, freedom is awesome. And have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.